What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be starting, running, and showing you guys Darin Hendricks' sick week winning 93 Cobra. It is a super sick car. I am super honored that he asked us to be a part of the program moving forward. And in this video, we're going to go over what we did to it while I was here and some details on the build. And then obviously we're going to finish off with putting it on the dyno. So as of right now, while I'm recording this intro, it has not been on the dyno, nor is it fired. So we're about to fire it up for the first time with the twin turbo setup, full exhaust, recirculated wastegates, and you guys are going to see it firsthand. So let's start off with that, and then we'll backtrack back into what we did and the modifications done to it, and we'll close it off with the dyno footage and see what kind of power this thing's going to put down for Sick Week 2026. Well, here it is. Here is Darin's 93 Teal Cobra. It looks a little funny without the front end on, but a lot of the work we did, you can see with the front end off. So for now, I'm going to leave it off to show you what's going on. As you can see, it is a 25.5 serted chassis. So this car is ready to contend at a maximum 750 level, which is key because there's not a lot of stick cars competing in the drag and drive that can go faster than 850. So it's cool that this one is one. Orange helmet option number 2 in the shop is Bob's, which is limited to 850 and also going to be making it to Sick Week. So we have 2 competitors who will now become family. Kind of cool. So the biggest thing was this car actually was supposed to get twin turboed by us. However, there wasn't enough time for us to do it. He wanted to make mod nats. I said, unfortunately, Darin, I cannot make it happen for you. So he had to go somewhere else. They did a twin turbo kit on it. He wasn't really a fan. It wasn't what he expected in his mind. So when he brought it here for us to finish the project, which was supposed to just be plumbing and vacuum lines and stuff that Dan is actually wrapping up as we speak on our half of the project, I said, hey, you know what? I don't really like a couple of the things. I want to change this. I want to change that. And he agreed that it all needed to be changed. So we started from scratch. The car obviously didn't make it to mod nats, but now it is ready to take on the world, really. So let's talk about what we got going on here. This car has a G5R. He's actually got a few different trans combinations to put in this car. But what it currently is a G5R with a gear vendor. It has a Black Magic 11-inch clutch. It has a Super Cobra Jet engine. This was a Whipple combination at the last Sick Week, which averaged in the 880 range. But it was like within 4 numbers all week, 880 range, which was super impressively consistent. Now, we got rid of all the blower stuff. We wanted to keep the crank in one piece, so we switched to turbos. Now, what we decided to go with was HPT's 6870 F2 series. We, of course, went mirror image because that fits our style. So we got mirror image. We have a custom air-to-water intercooler, which is actually the entire cold side. There's no cold side pipes. Everything that you need is all in the intercooler. We have pre-intercooler temp. We have the intercooler bricks themselves, which are 1,000 rated each. We have obviously the charge pipe, which has the post temperature in it. We have the Motion Raceworks throttle body and adapter to COYOTE. We have their vacuum setup on here. We have their catch cans. So there's a lot of Motion goodies on here, including the firewall, bulkhead, and some other miscellaneous stuff. We are running a 107 V-band exhaust housing. We did put some cross bolts in it, so if this car makes it to World Cup, which is part of his plans, it's got the right things needed there. But in order to get all this to fit, when this car came here, there was originally like 0 room between the fan and the balancer. And on top of the balancer, he had an alternator drive, accessory drive, and some other things. There was like 4 inches here. We decided to make as much room as we can to fit this all in here with symmetry and tube all the front core support. Normally this is not a big deal, but since it's a Cobra car and with the GT front bumper cover, we needed to do something to support it at the speeds that he's going to be going. Support it in the middle so it doesn't flop around, which is what that one's for. He has fog lights, of course, so we had to remake those. We had to make the radiator mounts, and then he has a belly tray that mounted to it. So it actually kind of turned into a few days worth of work to do all this tubing and set up and tuck the radiator and do everything super nice like we like it. Of course, adding coolant pressure sensor as well. You can start to see the turbo kit. Here, we got the exhaust out. Now, when we talked originally about doing this and I decided, hey, I don't have the time to do it, I was talking about leaving full exhaust on the car. When I went and got a turbo kit, it was a little bit more advantageous for time and cost to obviously come out the fender. We like to do cool shit, and I don't think fender exits on a car where the owner prefers to have full exhaust is very cool. So we kind of redid some of the exhaust. We ended up reusing from the X-pipe back. I just modified some stuff before that to get it to work. And then, of course, had to make downpipes and get really fancy with getting that all in here. And then the internet voted that it wouldn't be as cool if we didn't recirculate the wastegates. So, of course, we obliged. So I cannot wait to hear how quiet this is. I mean, the car was pretty loud, obviously, under boost with the Whipple. And it's probably going to be decently loud under boost with turbos. But I think at idle and cruising, this thing is going to be like stock, going through turbos and then going through a set of Harm aluminum titanium drag and drive mufflers. So that wraps up the modifications done. There's a million small things that have been done. Dan made some sick carbon panels to delete in the engine bay to make it look super clean in here. Remounted the catch cans. Well, we had to add this one. Remount that one so they look the same. Redo all the plumbing for like everything. One question I've gotten already in some of this is, why is the intercooler not straight to the intake? Well, the engine is not straight in the car. The engine is offset to one side and kind of points this way. So we decided to leave the turbos, the intercooler, all symmetrical in the engine bay. So this is all square to the chassis, which makes the exhaust look very similar, which is very appealing to the eye. But it did require a jog in the charge pipe. We do have custom mounts everywhere. So the turbo mounts are mounted to the mid plate. The intercooler mount is to the motor plate. Everything is super solid. It's not going anywhere. I mean, they're not going anywhere. This thing is a brick shit house. I have no qualms about reliability. Everything from bungs and tabs are all back purged everywhere. Full penetration on every weld. We take a lot of pride in the quality of the fab work that we're putting out here, and this is no exception. It's top notch. So this is a badass combination. The Super Cobra Jet manifold utilizes a Predator block, Predator heads, titanium valves, good valve springs. I mean, we should have no problem making some killer numbers. And if it makes anywhere near what HPT rates these two turbos at together, we're going to have plenty of power on tap to get this thing going down the track. But without further ado, let's get into getting this thing fired up and see what it sounds like. We're about a couple minutes off from firing up, and the goal was to fire it in 2025, and that's what we're about to do right now. Any fuel leaks?
No.
Ready? Hold on. Rails are all good. Okay. All right, go ahead. the last temp started to get me on 200. Nice. Kill it. Hey everyone, welcome to the second half of this video. Last night we actually got Darin's car on the dyno. We finished all the wiring that we needed to get through the dyno session, which is was primarily dome pressure sensor, coolant pressure, boost control, solenoids, etc. And the car's starting to make pretty good power. However, it's making more power than I anticipated because it's making more boost than I anticipated. So this morning we're on our way in. Darin is actually on his way up to see the progress on the dyno. However, the first things first, we have to figure out why we have a centrifugal boost curve. So I'm on my way to the shop now. It's a little earlier than usual. I want to disconnect the boost control in total, just run it on a wastegate spring, make sure that the turbo kit is working properly. Based on its design, it should have absolutely zero boost creep ever. So right now, it seems like it creeps the entire time, which is usually indicative that the dome pressure cannot vent. So we're going to get into it early today and keep you guys up to date. But for now, it has made like 900 horsepower on like 11 pounds of boost. So we're looking pretty good for today. I'll keep you guys updated when we start making controlled boost hits. All right, so we're here. We got Darin's car on the dyno, and I already told you guys that I was having a boost control issue last night. Came in this morning and kind of found the problem. The problem was I had the boost control solenoids off until a certain RPM. Well, when I was testing them yesterday, I switched it to be below a certain RPM. So realistically, it was turning the boost control solenoids off once I started it. So that was the root cause of the issue. Now we have to fine tune the PIDs on the boost control. I have a little bit of a rolling situation going on, but as of right now, it made 10 pounds pretty flat, you know, 10 plus minus 2. I would like to get it to be like plus minus a half. But the last pull on 10 pounds made 793, 605. Darin and Brian are here and they love it. It looks even better in person than on the pictures. And I think it looks pretty good on the pictures. So obviously they're happy with that. And it sounds good. It's running good. We're getting dialed in on this thing. And we're going to spend some time getting the 10-pound range like pretty much dialed. I want to make sure that the boost control is clean, make sure it makes good power, it doesn't have any stutters. Right now it's got a little low RPM, high load stutter. I want to get that all worked out of it, kind of figure out peak efficiency there, and then we'll just start putting boost in it until we decide we don't want to make any more horsepower. All right, let's get to it. All right, guys, we are going to close out this video without actually finishing this car. It's a bummer to not bring you guys start to finish on this, but I think it's going to be better. It's going to be a little bit easier to organize my thoughts in this video if we just end it here. We are not done with Darin's car. It is not ready for sick week, and it made killer power on the dyno, but we're going to leave this video off with an issue, and comment down below what you think might fix it. But we are having some boost control problems. The boost will slowly ramp up to about 10 pounds of boost with absolutely nothing on the dome pressure. And I believe that is also leading to having some issues with the car at higher boost levels, maintaining a consistent boost level. This car was deadly consistent with a Whipple. It ran within a few numbers every single day that it competed, and I do not want to be responsible for a turbo kit that is not as consistent as the Whipple was. So we're going to be diving into this. I'm going to start the next video. You guys will see what we're doing. But to close off, the car made 1,210 horsepower at the back tire on about 23 pounds of boost. So there's no doubt that this combination of stuff is working. The intercooler is knocking out 225 degrees of manifold air temp from the turbo into the intake. That's working awesome. But we are having that boost control problem, which is going to set us back a little bit on trying to figure out how to make this car perfect. We'll get into that and more in the next video. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe down below. Keep track of what's going on with this Teal Cobra and future videos that are coming. And thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.